Have you ever looked at how amazing a blade of grass can be when you look at it under a magnifying glass or maybe even a microscope? Have you ever looked up at the stars through a telescope or binoculars and seen how many stars are out there? And we look out and we see beautiful sunset, beautiful oceans and trees. Where does the wind come from? You know, the very first story in the Bible tells us just how these wonderful things came to be and how God created the world in just 6 days. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God made the heavens and separated the waters. And he called the dry land earth, and the waters he called sea. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth sprout plants and vegetation and fruit trees." And it was so. And the earth brought forth plants and trees, just like God said. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let there be lights in the night sky to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years." Did you know that you can even tell what month it is, and you can see which way to sail across the ocean just from the lights in the night sky? And God made the sun and the moon, and there was morning the fourth day. And on day 5, God said, "Let the waters swarm with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth." And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth." And on the 6th day, God created animals and creeping things, each according to their kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them be in charge over the fish and over the birds and over the animals and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." Then God formed man out of dust from the ground, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature. And God planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground the Lord caused trees and plants and fruit to grow. The tree of life was in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Then the Lord took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it like a gardener gardens in the garden, and to keep it and to look after the animals. And the Lord commanded the man, saying, "You may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in that day you shall eat of it, you shall surely die." Then God said, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper fit for him." Now out of the ground the Lord had formed every beast of the field and every bird of the heavens. He brought them to the man to see what names he would give them. And whatever the man called the creature, that was its name. But for Adam there was not found a helper fit for him. So the Lord caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man. While he slept, he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh. And the rib that God had taken from the man, he made into a woman, and he brought her to the man. And the man said,
Whoa.
"This is at last bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, and she shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man." The man's name was Adam, and the woman's name was Eve. And Adam took Eve as his wife. God created man in his own image. And God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and look after it, and look after the fish and the birds and after every living thing that moves on the earth." And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening and there was morning, and that was the 6th day. And on the 7th day, God finished his work, and he rested from all the work that he had done. So God blessed the 7th day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all his work that he had done in creation. Today we have a special verse that we're going to learn, and it's from the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 1, and it reads like this: "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Doesn't that sound a lot like the story from Genesis where we learn about how God created the earth and all the things in it? And who do you think the Word is that's with God? Well, the Bible tells us that the Word is another name for Jesus. We can also call Jesus the Word. And if you remember, our Bible is also called the Word. We can trust the Bible because the Bible is God's Word. So what can we learn from the first couple chapters in Genesis? Well, God has always been, and God created all things. He only has to speak and the world comes into being. So I'd like to invite you to come back next week and find out what happens next.